Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Javier Ortiz. I am your mentor throughout this program. I'm really excited today. We're in the last weeks of our time together, and I just wanted to share with you really quickly a learning plan, a template for a learning plan, which I just lost. Okay, right here. So today is August 6th. So you should be working on the capstone project, and this is done in 1, 2, 3 more weeks, maybe 4 weeks. Let's round it up in 4 weeks on August 31st. And after that, you're done. Just some catch up to do and anything you need to finish. And so that's why I'm really excited today. And just as a brief reminder, as always, you can schedule one-on-one meetings with me through Calendly. And let me show you my Calendly account and Slack channel. And don't forget that our study group resides at Slack on here is study group resides Slack DND session 963. All right, so don't forget to check this out. Each week I post a weekly roundup where I provide the link to schedule one-on-one meetings with me and links to this webinar. All right, congratulations to Nam. Which we just graduated from the program yesterday. So really excited for Nam. Congratulations. And so today I was thinking of giving another walkthrough. All right. So this time I'll cover some things that maybe I didn't cover last time, and some things that I've seen that you have struggled with during the project. So let's go with this. Let me put myself here in the corner and let's do it. All right. So the project is data pipelines with Airflow. And once again, we have our music streaming company, Sparkify, and we're automating the ETL pipelines with Apache Airflow. Okay. So the source data resides in S3 and is going to be processed by Redshift. And the source data sets consist of JSON logs and JSON metadata. So basically info about the songs and info about the users, right? And those reside in S3 and we're moving them into Redshift with a pipeline. Cool. All right. So this is the basic structure of the DAG. Okay, so we have a dummy variable, begin execution. Then we're going to run simultaneously stage events and stage songs. So this is what it does is we extract the files from the S3 and we're going to put that data into the staging tables, right? And once we have it in the staging tables, we can load the data from those tables into a song plays fact table. And from that fact table, we can load all the different dimension tables, which will have one for song, user, artist, and time. So we'll end up with 5 tables. And after that, we want to run some data quality checks, and finally a dummy variable and executions, and that's basically it. All right. Okay, we have a helper class that contains all the SQL transformations, so you don't need to write the ETL yourself, but you need to execute it with your custom operators. So most of the work would be on writing these operators for this, the operators for the staging events and songs, the operators to load the song plays, and the operator to run the quality checks, right? So the first thing that you need to understand how to do is how to add the Airflow connections. All right, and luckily here we have the instructions. So the first thing that you need to do, let me open the workspace in a different tab. I noticed watching the video that I split my screen and both screens weren't showing at the same time. So I apologize for that. I won't make that mistake again. Okay, so the first thing you need to set up Airflow at your workspace. You copy this link, HTTP colon slash slash localhost colon 8080, and you can write it here at the project workspace. Drink some coffee. Okay, it's loading. Still loading. Sorry about that. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to paste it here and just press enter. No, my mistake. That wasn't the one. Sorry. No, it's here in workspace instructions, and this is the path that you need. Really sorry about that. Okay, so here I press enter, and now we're talking. You can see the Airflow logo here. Waiting for Airflow. Cool. Now Airflow web server is ready. This is what you want to see. So I'm going to click here and access Airflow. And now let's keep going with this connection. Okay, so click on the admin tab and select connections. Let's do that. Admin tab, boom, and connections, boom. All right, it says under connections, select create. So here, create, and I'm going to create a new connection. Connection ID, enter AWS credentials, connection time, Amazon Web Services, log in your access key ID from the IAM user, and password your secret access key. So AWS credentials, Amazon Web Services. So AWS credentials, Amazon Web Services. Here, login is the key and the secret. Okay, so this one you get it from your IAM credentials, right? Which we have done many times. If you don't recall how to do it, go back to the AWS unit, which I think was the previous unit that there's a lesson on how to get your IAM user credentials. Cool. So it looks like this. Now, on the next create connection page, enter the following value. So here you can just save it or save and add another one, and it will lead you into a similar, exactly the same page. And here the connection ID will be Redshift and the connection type will be Postgres. All right, so here Redshift and Postgres. Cool. Now here at host, you're going to add the endpoint string, or the Redshift endpoint string. It's really important that you do not include the port at the end, right? So here in host. After that, schema, we're going to name dev, but if you have a different name, when you created the Redshift database, use that name, as well as the login and the password and the port. So just make sure that this match to whatever you use when you created the Redshift cluster. Here's an example of the endpoint. Here is where you can find the port, database name, master username. So make sure that those match this. Once you're done with that, it should look like this. And you're all set. Just save it and you're all set. Cool. Let's continue. Sorry about that. And here we go. So in the S3, we have this folder where we can access the log data and the song data. And here you'll have a DAG template which has all the imports and task templates in place. We'll have the operators folder with operator templates and a helper class for the SQL transformations. So you should be able to see the new DAG like this, but it doesn't follow the order, not yet. Okay, the operator not implemented. And you need to add some default parameters. So the DAG does not have dependencies on paths run. On failure, the tasks are retried 3 times. Retries happen every 5 minutes. Catch up is turned off, and do not email on retry. So you need to create a flow for this and basically create the operator. So the first operator that we're going to use is the stage operator, and it's going to load the JSON files from S3 to Redshift. And these operator creates and runs a SQL copy statement based on the parameters provided. All right, the parameters should specify where in S3 the file is loaded and what is the target table. And you should be able to distinguish between JSON files and another requirement is contain a templated field that allows it to load timestamped files from S3 based on the execution time around backfills. All right, and we have another operator for fact and dimension operators, and these are utilize the provided SQL helper class. And we have a data quality operator to run checks on the data itself. So you're going to receive a SQL-based test cases, and along with the expected results. So 3 operators basically. And so let's do it. So this just shows you how to set up Airflow in the workspace as I just did. And let's do it. So let me go back to the, okay. So this is the basic workspace. So it has the DAG, and as you can see, it's just a template. All right. So here you have a space to set up all the defaults that we were talking about, the project instructions. Here it sets up the dummy operator, star operator. Here you have already the stage events to Redshift operator, and you just need to come up with some parameters for it. Stage songs to Redshift, it's the same one, so it's events and songs. So this will use the same operator. Then we have the load song place table, which will use the load factor operator. You need to set up these parameters, and for all the dimension tables as well, which will use the same operator. And finally, our run quality checks operator, which will use this data quality operator. Once again, you need to set up all the missing parameters. And what we're missing here at the end is you need to establish the flow of the different DAGs. Okay? So if you open Airflow here, you can see under plugins and operators, the different operators, right? So we have the stage redshift operator, we have the load fact and load dimension we use, and the data quality operator. Okay, so I think I said that the dimension and the fact table use the same operator. They don't. The fact operator is obviously for the fact table, which is the song place, and the dimension operator is for the rest for the dimension tables. So you need to set up 4 operators, right? And as you can see, you already have a template, but it's missing a lot. You need to define your params and map the params as well, and finally write any code that you need to execute. Okay, and it's the same for all of those. Write the params, map the params, and write any code that you need to execute. And the same for the data quality. Define the params, map them, and any code that you need to execute. Cool. And that's basically the project. So let me show you a completed one, and so that you understand how it all comes together. But once again, basically is here you have all your operators. You need to define the missing parameters based on the parameters that you establish in each operator. All right. And don't forget that you can use here in plugins, we have a helpers folder that has SQL queries. And you can use this SQL queries in your operators, right, in order to populate your tables. Okay, so use this. Okay, and I'm missing one thing. Yes, here we have in the main folder Airflow, we have a create table SQL. This one you can use it to create the staging events and staging songs tables, right? Some of you sorry about that, having trouble incorporating them here in the DAG. So if you're struggling with that, I would suggest you just copy and paste this code straight into Redshift and create the tables beforehand. All right, so let me stop talking and let me show you a completed project so that you understand better how all of this comes together. Okay, so let me show you the operators. As you can see here, these are all different params that needs to be established, such as a connection, table name, S3 bucket, key delimiter, headers, quote, chart, file type, AWS credentials, etc. And here I'm mapping all these params. Okay, and finally, I'm going to execute some code. The first thing you need to do is connect to Redshift through this Postgres hook. And I'm going to delete from the name of the table just to empty the table beforehand. And you can add an if exists. And here you have the path. And here is my copy statement. So here I'm copying from the table. I'm copying the table from, and then the S3 path, and then access key ID. I'm using this AWS credentials get key, and here secret access key. I'm using this get secret. Cool. And I have this logic where if this file type is CSV, I'm going to use this delimiter, header, and quote char. And if the file type is JSON, I'm going to use the JSON auto. So the full copy statement will be the copy statement, which is this one, plus the file type statement. And finally, I'm going to run it using Redshift. Okay, cool. So that was the first one. And we have the load fact table. Here I have all the params. I map the params. And it's easier because you only need like the connection, the name of the table, and the SQL statement, because the SQL statement is already written for you. And so I'm just connecting to Postgres with to Redshift with Postgres, and then I'm going to insert into the name of the table with the SQL statement, and I'm running the SQL statement. Easy. And the dimension is the same. Just need the connection, table name, SQL statement. And we have an append data just in case you want to add to that table or you want to delete it. And so I'm going to connect to Redshift. I'm going to insert into that table using the SQL statement. But if I want to delete it first, I'm going to use the delete from. Okay, and SQL statement insert into, and then I'm going to use the SQL statement. So it's almost the same, but you have the option to delete it first or append data to it. Okay, and finally, the data quality, which just needs a connection and DQ checks none. I'm mapping those params. I'm connecting to Postgres, and I'm counting the errors and the failing tests. So for check itself and then the DQ checks, and what this is going to do, this is going to get the check SQL, all right, and get the expected results. And it's going to get the records, the first instance of that, and the error counts, it's going to be added to 1, and we're going to append the failing test, this check SQL. And if the error count is more than 0, test fail. Otherwise, data quality checks passed. Cool. So all of these come together at, let me open it, at the main DAG, which I have it someplace over here. I cannot seem to, okay, here it is. Okay, this is the main DAG. As you can see, it gets the AWS key and AWS secret from the connection that you made. They already show you how to do that connection. Then here it's there are all the default arguments, and then here I filled out all the params that I established in the different operators, right? And so AWS credentials, I have the key, I have the secret, the limiter, header, school char, file type, everything's right here. And this is the same. I have all the different params that I set up. Same for this. The SQL statement, I'm using the SQL queries class SongPlay table insert, and I'm using the different SQL queries, the one corresponding to that specific table. And for data quality operators, I'm using this checks. Cool. So that's how it gets to check SQL and expect the result. And finally, the only thing missing left to do is establishing the order. So I'm going to run the stage events and songs simultaneously, and from the store operator, and then simultaneously load in the song place table. And from the song place table, I'm going to load all of these simultaneously, and all of them are going to run quality checks at the same time. So we are utilizing the parallelism that Airflow offers. And finally, the end operator, and then it will be done. All right. So that's it. That's the project. Hopefully things are clearer now. If you have any questions regarding the project, feel free to ask them through the Slack channel. Send me a DM, set up a one-on-one meeting, and I'm here to support you guys in this Airflow project. And after that, the capstone project next week. I think it's time for the, I don't want to say lies, for the capstone project walkthrough. I'm not sure if it's next week or the week after that. Let me check really, really quickly. Where is it? 1 second, guys. Okay. So we're currently at week 8. We're starting week 19. So no, I'm going to give another webinar this week, the week 19, and then week 20 would be the capstone project tips. All right. So let me know what you think, and if you have any questions, let me know as well. Well, it's great talking to you guys. See you soon.